My name is Davis Thompson. I'm an English teacher here at the high school, and I've also had the privilege of being the sponsor for the Poetry Out Loud contest for the past 4 years. Every year, since 4 years ago, Auburn High School has had a Poetry Out Loud contest in the fall where students recite poems written by published authors. It's a national contest sponsored by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. Our first year, we had a student win for the state and go to compete in Washington, and he made it into the top 9. The second year we did Poetry Out Loud, he competed again, and he went to the top 9 and to number 1, and he became the national champion.
It's really great to be able to hear poems, because I feel like I've learned that poems really do have sort of an auditory quality, that they're meant to be heard and not just read. And I've learned that poetry is almost a whole other, separate from literature, it's a whole other medium of art. It's very wonderful. Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand, glimmering and vast, out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Only, from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles, which the waves draw back and fling at their return. Up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For the world, which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here, as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night.
We've competed 2 years since then and haven't had the same luck, but we've had some amazing students do some amazing poems. This year, our Poetry Out Loud champion for Auburn High School and for the region was Connelly. And she was the first runner-up for the state. She was just one place away from a trip to Washington, but she did a phenomenal job.
Hi, my name is Connelly, and I'm a senior at Auburn High School. I am the first runner-up for State Poetry Out Loud, which is a competition. It's not where we recite our own poetry, it's us reciting the poetry of famous poets. So basically the competition is, we start by choosing poems from the Poetry Out Loud anthology, where the national organizers select about 200 poems, and then we get to choose 3 of those that we memorize and perform for judges. The purpose of the competition is to give a voice to the poem. each poem has its own voice as well as the voice of the poet, and then we combine it with our own voices to present the emotion of the poem to an audience. I got involved with Poetry Out Loud because I have a fantastic teacher named Mr. Thompson. He was my theory of knowledge teacher and my senior English teacher. He absolutely loves poetry, and he has taught me to love poetry.
And for the past 2 years, Auburn High School has also had another contest that's solely an Alabama contest, which is the original poetry recitation competition, where students recite poetry that they themselves wrote. This year our winner was Dreamer Hagans, and she won here at the high school and at Regions, and she did very well at state. Although she wasn't able to bring home the prize, we're still very proud of both her poems.
Hi, my name is Dreamer Hagans. I won first in Poetry Out Loud at both the school-wide level and the regional level. To me, Poetry Out Loud is a way for me to say things I wouldn't normally want to say just to my parents or to someone like close to me. I guess it's weird, but it's easier to say it to a larger crowd when they don't know the exact scenario. And so I guess it's a way for me to vent and to, I guess, just express how I feel without really caring what people think. It's a really cool opportunity if you get the chance, or if you even just, like, when I wrote my poems, I wrote my first one the week before the school-wide competition. And so even if you don't do poetry, if you're going through something and you want a way to vent, I guess, feel free to do it. It's an amazing experience.
Accepting imperfection. Hello, I'm the pastor's daughter, has been my introduction. It's been my very identity since the day of my adoption. And when I was younger, that was perfectly okay. It meant I was the perfect child, a title I put on display. But as I grew older, perfect was no longer just a word. It became a heavier burden every time that it was heard. I tried to hide the truth of my war raging within because as the perfect child, I wasn't allowed to have that sin. I tried to form a checklist of things to do, to show perfection through my actions, to have some sort of proof. But I pointed out to myself with every achievement the imperfection it held. That poisoned the joy of it. I couldn't escape my own judgment. I couldn't hide from the lies. So now help will forever be my body's scarred cry. But I can't even explain the sweet relief I felt the moment I accepted imperfection, stopped lying to myself. I will never be the perfect child. Of this, I am certain. And I no longer carry with me that unattainable burden. I realized that even with imperfection, I am always loved because the grace that forgives my mistakes was bought 2,000 years ago by Jesus.
Since we've had 4 years of Poetry Out Loud, I have every intention of us doing a 5th year, and as long as I'm here, I hope that we'll continue to have the contest. The Poetry Out Loud website is always up, since it's a national contest, and students are welcome to look at it and always be preparing, memorizing poetry. And the original poetry contest obviously demands students who've been writing, so you should never stop writing poetry. When school begins again in August, we will start talking about when Poetry Out Loud is and what you need to do to compete. But we hope that students will always continue to memorize poems and to write poems and to perform them for audiences who are very grateful to hear their creative words.